difference in playstyle shows a lack of stability, I think, for me. Because the first playday, they were not that predictable, actually. They had Knock running around, they were lurking around, they were trying cheesy plays. And then playday 2, they changed everything and were much more traditional. Problem is, both of them didn't work. And it seems that even when they had a 6-man roster and a different vision for the team, they seem to have more cohesion, which is crazy. They've added more stability. They've brought LMs, someone that's widely experienced, that has reached the tops with many different teams. They have now stuck to a 5-man roster. They should be more complete and they should have better chemistry. But weirdly enough, whenever they go slow and methodical, they're way too slow and way too predictable. And I just don't understand what is not functioning anymore. It doesn't seem to click. That's it.
You're comparing that stability between stage 1 and 2, but is there anything else we can compare between those two stages?
Yeah, I think if you look at the stats from Skies, for example, I think he was one of the most important in-game leader in EU last stage. And then you look at him right now. The difference is crazy. It's almost divided by 2. On almost every stat, he went from 3rd best in Europe to 2nd worst. Now, let's be real here. It's only 2 playdays, and I'm not doing this to say that Skies is anywhere near as wrong as he was, as good as he was in last stage. I don't think he's a bad player in any case. I don't think he got worse. I just think that the team is working less together. He had such an important role before. He was the voice of the team and he could play around it. I don't think it's necessarily the case anymore. At least it doesn't seem to click the way it did before and it just doesn't suit him anymore.
From what I understand, Nako is the IGL of the team now as well, so it might be that Skies is in a bit of an identity crisis and maybe lost himself a little bit as to what his role is in the team, because we know him as this kind of star IGL that can do everything within the team. And then he's taken off that role, and now we're seeing a player that looks a bit devoid of confidence.
And Nako now is really down bad in terms of stat as well. So, effectively, you've dropped 2 players that were strong before, and now they're really struggling.
There's a lot to say about Ence and attempting their recovery on playday number 3. G2, though, is on the other side of this matchup. And, of course, they've had their own massive changes with Loira and Blaz on the squad, Jack. How are they fared in week 1?
Yeah, and I think G2 have kind of fared about as expected. I think you would have expected them to dispatch Fnatic. They did that with ease, and then struggle against BDS, which they did. They were competitive, but ultimately lost the game. And I think G2 are still finding their feet. I think looking at this screen for me tells a big picture. The 2 new guys, 75 EPS and 82 EPS. That's obviously expected player score, and 100 is what the bench line is. So they're both performing below what an expected player in the league is, yet the 3 remaining players are doing well. We've seen Alamau move towards the front line, so he's kind of IGLing and playing quite an aggressive entry in most situations, and I think he's benefited from that. But I think I'm still in the process of really figuring out where G2 are at the minute.
And I think they're doing the same thing. I think they're still looking for that identity themselves. I think they're playing in a way Alimau wants, and he's playing around it really well, and that's why he's fragging really well. But the 2 other players, the newer ones, are still struggling with that. And I think overall, you can see there is a theme, a pattern of being aggressive, of looking for these frags because they know that there's strength. The problem is, in the end, against a team like BDS, for example, that can both play the frag style and at the same time the slow and methodical siege, it just won't work. You need to be able to change pacing and to change play style. And right now, they only know how to play in one way.
G2 seems to sit in this niche that's like below the top teams because they can't just outfrag them, they have to be strategically better, but above the bottom teams because they can just outfrag them and don't need to be strategically better. So I think that's the improvement we're looking from G2.
If anything, that team cohesion seems to be on the up and up, at least between Loira and Alamau, as both seem to have taken up residence together, going to the gym together, doing daily activities together, just hanging out with the bros as it is, and that's something that will help out as you've experienced it yourself in the past, Alfama, in your competitive experience. However, we have our map bans ready. There's a lot of them. There's actually 8 that'll take us to our pick. We'll go to Skyscraper. G2 had banned out Cafe Jack.
No, just before going to the decider there, I think what's really funny is the way the maps are playing here. Ence is banning the 3 best G2 maps here. In Bank, Consulate, Chalet, no big problem here, and then they're banning Lair. Maybe they're not feeling ready for it. Maybe they're just struggling already on traditional maps. Maybe they're not comfortable going on the new one. Okay, fine. Now you look at G2. The first 3 bans are fine. Night, Club, Border, some of their worst map. But it's at the end here. They had a choice between Cafe and Sky. And for some reason, they went to ban Cafe. And that I still don't understand. Because Cafe, they have an 8-map with string on it. They're amazing on it. And I wouldn't say that Ence are particularly good on it. And then Sky on the opposite end. Last time they played it, they lost to Fear X.
Whoa.
at the Manchester Major.
Whoa.
It's not a map that they play very often. And again, we're seeing a Burma ban here because Ence has not played Sky in a long time. They banned it 20 times in 2024. Another perma ban that is out of the hat and again being played.
That's probably the reason, is that Skyscraper is Ence's permaban, and therefore G2 will go for that. One thing I will say about G2, they're going to start attack. Old G2 on this map, on Skyscraper, love to abuse the power operators that allow a fast playstyle. So Yings, Dokkaebi, Grims, Shields, anything like that. They would always play 2-3 of those operators every single round to initiate entry into the building. So I would expect them to do the same again today.
We'll see if Ence has done their homework against G2 and prepared something to pull out that hat and get ready for our game. Speaking of which, our players are ready, and so are our casters. It's a G2 game, and Demos casting, and XR Troika is by his side. I can't wait to see this one.
Josh, thank you very much indeed. We are going to be taking this game, as we've been taking all the other games here tonight. Demo, we've got G2, one of your absolute all-time favorites right now, coming up against Ence. G2 didn't get off to the blinding start that G2 fans are used to seeing, or at least hoping to see, but obviously they have made a couple of roster changes, so that is to be expected. Ence, they made their share of changes as well, but really did underperform, and as the desk said, maybe only didn't get as much heat as they deserved because of Fnatic's performance as well. So a bit of a point to prove tonight, it feels like, for maybe both these sides. Demo.
Yeah, look, both these teams, it's a kind of season for both of them. We're obviously G2. It's what can we do, guys? Because it's not been very good as of recency. For Ence, still a very young team, very new team. You know, you've got a player there like Alems, who we know is a very long veteran player of the game. He's been here since year one. It's all about how would they improve from where they were last stage. And I think, obviously, looking at last stage, they have a lot to improve on. We know that. And I think for Ence, it's just them going in here and seeing if they can make a name for themselves. But, as we know, they haven't really done that as of yet. They've played 2 games, and they've lost 2 games.
Yeah, not the best start at all, and you're expecting a little bit more, but again, Ence with the new kids on the block last stage, and you know it took them a while to really warm up into things, and you can only imagine that that's going to be the same, if not similar, again. Obviously, they've brought Alems onto the sides. They have brought a little bit of that experience and some of that sort of longevity that Alems had over on BDS. That's going to get brought across, and they're going to get a little bit more used to things. But going up against a Titan like G2, it is never going to be straightforward. Skyscraper is the map. G2 starting off on the attack, Ence starting off on the defense here. Not the easiest map to be playing here, but these are, of course, best of ones, and teams are going to be fighting to get onto maps that they prefer.
Yeah, but look, I think G2 will be happy enough to go onto the attack. The desk mentioned before, G2 have always historically liked this map. They've always wanted to play here. Ence, not so much. You can understand why G2 have wanted to go for it. Wasn't so Ence, it's G2 right down to a T. And as much as what the changes have obviously happened to G2, where you've got Lawyer and Blaz in, look, you've still got a core. You've still got 3 very, very experienced players who have all, you know, had very historic careers. We know that. So you always have to give G2 that credit. You know, it's still going to be the same team, but just different faces. Which, it has to be said, is kind of the issue with G2 at the moment, Ollie. Quite a revolving door team as it stands.
Absolutely. It's, you know, there's no better way of putting it. We made a lot of changes. Still trying to find that winning formula. Uno, he's going to be able to take out Alems there. Alems really getting caught out of position there inside of Geisha. Knew that wall was getting open. Maybe didn't anticipate that Uno was going to be hanging around just outside of the breach. That's a nice early pick here for G2.
Well, Azox has gotten into the position that Alems was hoping to get in towards, and that is just tucked in behind the box inside of Geisha. Got a few ADSs as well to try and help him out. Looks as though he's maybe being pinged though, and now he will be Deimos, and this is where the utility from G2 is going to be really terrifying to play against. And look at that from Blaz downstairs, using the revolver, shredding through the floor. Takes a bit of damage, but he doesn't know where exactly he's getting shot from. Up the main stairs is where Lawyer is trying to push, but will be stopped just by that little bit of barbed wire. And now the Legion, who is trying to, I think, hold on to... Well, the staircase is going to be forced back now, and obviously have to be very careful because, as we know, it's all about that Deimos below, Ollie. This is where Deimos is going to have so much fun, and a bomb site that has a lot of soft, destructible flooring.
Yeah, there's a lot that you can be going at here on Skyscraper. Lura gonna find a kill over onto Rykos there, and Naku caught out on the drone. Stun coming around the corner, and a Doki in a Ferrari there on a peak. Blink and you miss him. Good round from G2. Dominated start through finish. Picked up a very good opening kill and then finished strong. A convincing round one. And we know that attacks aren't always the easiest to come by over on Skyscraper. Ence gonna have to really sharpen things up a little bit.
Oh boy, what a way to kick things off for G2. Really great round. Using the utility extremely well and knew exactly what they wanted to do. Open up the wall in towards Geisha. You know, that creates that kind of beachhead for them. If anyone's inside of Geisha, you're going to get rooted out. As simple as that, used in the Deimos. And once you get control of Geisha, we know how difficult it is for the defenders then to really fight back. Geisha opens up a lot of sight angles into both sides, long corridor, everything you get from Geisha. And if the attackers are in there, there's no real position that you can rotate in towards. You're kind of stuck in wherever you are. And like I mentioned before, again, if you're stuck inside a T, if you're stuck inside a karaoke, if you're pinged, the Deimos, again, will just go downstairs and rip you apart from below. I think it's a really good strategy.
The Deimos not being brought this time, but essentially not required. We are going to be moving sites. There's still value for a Deimos to be found here, just through the sheer destructibility of Skyscraper. Over into Office and Exhibition. Going to be a slightly different approach required. That outside wall is going to be a real key fighting point. The drone going in, discovering that there is, in fact, a player behind the bar, as is the norm. Just trying to time that Selma right. The call comes in as well. The synergy is here. With that breach getting opened and a kill being found through it, Skies, he's going to fall, and, well, Lura is going to waste no time. Immediately gets himself in. He's got a live ping information. He knows exactly where he's going, and he's opened the round right up.
Loading new mag. However, Blaz has tried to kind of jump in under the cover of the chaos that Laura had made, but he himself gets found out. What a swing from Naku. Eliminates Stokey, gets caught in the goo mine. I don't think the goo mine mattered, but Uno one taps the Lems, it feels like, and a double for Uno. My oh my, what a quick round for G2 again, but it was clinical, Ollie. Just Laura sees an opening, goes for it, and Uno cleans up shop.
It's not an easy style of Siege to play, the style that G2 like, where they are very opportunistic. They see those gaps and they take them. But clearly being given that flexibility to say, yeah, we trust your decision making, Laura. If you see that gap, go and take it. I wish we could see the old chat there. Got Blaz chuckling. Doki was typing something.
A lot of people have really wanted the old chat, especially from NA anyway. Have been wanting to see the chat, but
release the logs.
Maybe another time. Maybe another time.
It's one of those things that maybe we maybe they get declassified after so many years.
Yeah, after like a 2-year breach, it comes to an end.
2 years, gets declassified. Tactical timeout being taken here for Ence.
Very early this, isn't it? Usually the third round, whenever
that's crazy.
They're just getting stumped. But after round 2, after getting stumped for the past 2, I mean, it's extremely early, but probably realizing that, hang on a minute, we are on Skyscraper defense. And we're a team which has not been good at attacking. Don't forget that Ence are probably worried about their attacks going into this playday because last week just was not good enough.
Yeah, it's dangerous, isn't it? Naku had his moment. He picked himself free, but it never felt like it was going to be anywhere near enough. Pick pick up 3 kills after you've only lost
game.
1 body, and you know, all of a sudden it's game on.
The thing with G2 is I'm really happy to see them playing that style of siege, because that's the style of siege that we know works for them. That's what suits them down to a T. And whenever
At this point, who are we saying is them? By them, we're literally saying Alamau and Doki.
No. Here's the thing. I think they realized what style of player they wanted to bring in. I think Loira, in many cases, is the style of player that they wanted. Another Brazilian to play that style of siege. Blaz himself's a rat. I just think a good player to get in because he's a rat. And I mean, it is a case of you don't want to play against Blaz, so you take him in case somebody else takes him. Could have been, you know, a case of that. But I think the Loira pickup, I think it's the style of player that they wanted. I think the scouting department's done really well. I don't know if they have a scout. They might. Is Alamau the scout? Probably. But I think that's the player that you need to get, is more the Brazilian flair, because it complements Alamau. Alamau, obviously, like you mentioned, is the one who we know to play that style of siege, and that's what's worked out so successful for them. You bring in another one who can do the same, it just adds another arrow to your quiver.
Loira is going to be below on the book right now. Going to be looking to remove that electrification on the Geisha exterior wall. He's just taking his time about things at the minute. Doesn't want to get into anything too hasty. We've got Blaz going to be able to provide some nice cover as well. That wall can get opened. Not only opened, but watched as well. Loira is really giving Uno the full treatment there as that wall gets opened. Making sure that no one can come in and place a bandit battery down. There's a long line of sight open to the bottom of those black stairs. Loira could do a lot worse than just sit here for the foreseeable future until he finds something, because there is a player on that stair, and well, they've got the FO12s, they've got the shotgun, not the gun that you want to be taking that kind of a range of engagement with. You're gonna have to draw to the pistol if they want to try and challenge Loira on that angle.
And they're hunting for Lems right now. They know where he is, and he will start to take a bit of damage from the skeleton key. Also, he's going to be Grim, he's going to be B, he's going to be everything. Somehow gets out of it. Loira takes a bit of damage in return. Minute left, and G2 are really relying on finding a pick, but it's not going to work out for them. Lems is just running around the top floor. Finds Loira as that barbed wire again. Slows his approach, and Lems in a nice position, but looks away at the wrong time. Allows Blaz to get that kill. He gets engaged though from below as the flankers came in. But Ence are picking up kills left, right, and center. A 2v4. Doki has to go up against this FO12, but the pistol isn't going to be enough. Thanks to Elamine before moving back. He's locked onto the head of Doki. And Alamau has a big old clutch that he has to try and go for here. Starts things off with 1 kill, but 3 more to find, and under 20 seconds, it's going to be quite the ordeal for him.
15 seconds to
Let's see if the Grim canisters can spot something else. He's just going to run head first into the lines of sight from NAQ. And Ence respond with their first round, the timeout, Ollie being successful.
Timeout's worked really well from there, hasn't it? I feel like they've just dug into some positions a little bit harder and made themselves more difficult to root out. G2 had taken the tools that they needed to try and do that. They had things like the Grim, had things like the book. They were able to remove flooring and make players uncomfortable, B players out and make them known and red pinged. A couple of unfortunate timings on these main stairs. Lems obviously finding success onto Loira, and then Lems himself falling. Both players just looking the wrong way at the wrong moment. You think those stairs are a narrow corridor, but when these players are so locked in or even aimed down sights, it can be very difficult to fully scan the stair, and you're always going to have to just give something up. Good round for Ence. The timeout was successful. Is it going to be good for 2? That's the question.
10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds left.
Obviously going back to another site that they did lose. Over towards the office now, and the lineup from G2. Again, explosive, bringing in that Ying. You would expect that G2 will probably try and go direct like they did previously. But I suppose wherever that wall's going to be kind of reinforced up and bandited from the office perspective, you're going to have to put a lot of time and effort into kind of getting through the bandit charges, getting through the cave claws. Yes, you have the Maverick Baz, who know Ollie Maverick, and in this day and age, with the arc lineups, no, not today. No, thank you.
Yeah. No returns. Anyone that bought the Maverick, by the way. There's a no refunds accepted, I'm afraid. We aren't
If you
Maverick
bought any
salesmen anymore.
esport bundles, sorry, no can do. I think Elevate had one, Fnatic had one. No refunds.
But it doesn't matter if lineups are a thing. Headshots have always been a thing, and Blaz is going to fall to a headshot there. Azox finding that opening pick. And G2 again, just on this back foot a little bit. Ence have really tightened things up, and they're not giving those opportunities away. They're not giving those small gaps for G2 to take advantage of. Loira.
Ooh.
We'll find one over onto Naku, though. That might have been a kill from below.
Hello? Yeah, it is.
Proving a menace with that skeleton key, isn't he?
I mean, I think they're playing the verticality really well. The buck just being a constant force. No Deimos this time, which of course would have been nice to try and spot out some of these players, because information may be the issue now for G2. But Ence with that deployable shield inside a dragon just stops that approach for the meantime, and he is a warden, so even if the Candelas are going to be used, it's going to be to no effect. They really have to try and get an ace charge sent in, and ace charge misses onto the shield, but instead the wall is going to be the target, and that means both of them are going to get shot off. Another one goes in. It will hit the shield this time, but it doesn't really matter as the kills have come in nonetheless, but it's going to be a big upside for Ence as they lead with a man count now. And oh, the prone from Rykos able to dome off Doki. Those last players there. C4 ripped out. Such low HP as well will do the job on to Alamau. Ence, 2 for 4.
Not bad from Ence at all. Really good positional play. And a bit of a utility blunder, I think it's fair to say, from the side of G2. Wouldn't entirely be surprised to see a timeout of their own come in very soon. It's a technical pause. I could sense that there was some sort of a pause, but I wasn't sure which one it was. I was trying to tee myself up beautifully there, but no, tech pause, no talking. There is a issue with one of the, well, I imagine an issue with one of the players. And get that nicely resolved. Goodness, who was that?
That was Uno's camera. He's in the void.
I thought it was Harry Potter. He looked like he was under the stairs.
Under the stairs.
I didn't realize they picked up Harry Potter as well.
Honestly. What is he doing? What's he singing? Mamma Mia?
Maybe.
Stay hydrated, everyone. Quick water break, everyone. Have a hydrate. Hydrate on me.
Have a water on me. Aren't you so generous?
Thank you.
Very generous indeed. Lems looks a little bit frustrated, doesn't he? Things are going pretty well for Ence right now.
Lems has always been very angry-faced, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He always has been. Like, that's no surprise from Brian. He's always like this. Oh, little look at the camera there.
God, it's like he heard his name.
I'm scared. He knows what I'm talking about.
He said his name and he's like instant eye contact with the camera. Like, I'm watching.
Yeah.
I'm listening.
I think this is a lot better for Ence, isn't it? I think they've kind of adapted a little bit more to the way G2 are playing. G2 are just head first, kind of, aren't they? Just kind of charging at them.
Yeah.
And Ence are just trying to play a little bit more compact, a little bit more together. They're not trying to give picks away unless G2 are really forcing their hand against it. But I think just using the utility well. I think that shield was well placed. Actually see the lineup there as well. Ollie, look, we've got a Nomad. There's a Grim. And that's all I could get. That's all I could see.
You've got to become like a detective. It's like reflection mastery. Like we can see a bit of reflection there in Alamau's window, but we can't really tell what's going on there.
It's like, did you ever see the guy? I think it was one of the boxing fights, and the guy was streaming it through the reflection of his glasses.
Oh goodness me, that's illegal activities.
Crazy world.
I want to go back to Uno's cam. Because when Uno tabs out and it's just fully blacked out.
He's back.
He's back. He's back.
He is under the stairs, though.
He is under the stairs. We might have to start calling him Mr. Potter.
And it's very dark. Has he got no lights? Does he play in pitch black darkness? It looks like it.
Well, to be fair, Oscar was playing in pitch black earlier, and it was like 5 or 6 p.m. in the UK. It was like broad daylight outside, and his room's absolutely pitch. Man's got the blackout blinds pulled down. Ooh, is that a cat? Bit of paraphernalia in the background. Could be
some form of cat play toy.
Yeah,
yes.
there's potential for a cat to be, walking along the sofa or something like that. We did a little award last time, the last stage, didn't we? We had the best camera. Leon was by far and away.
Yeah.
Are we going to expand, like maybe spookiest camera?
Oh, well, you're just giving it to him then, aren't you?
I mean, it's who you know, isn't it? Like, it doesn't look comfortable. Like, I would be uncomfortable in that environment.
Well,
like, I'd
you'd
feel
hit your
hemmed
head
in.
because you're too tall. You'd hit your head in the stairs. That's the issue you'd have.
I mean, you'd probably just lower your. Well, yeah, you maybe lower the chair, I guess.
Well,
but then
I thought you were going to say lower the
up around
stairs.
your
And I
head.
was like, if you can lower the stairs in your house, you go for it. But it's not something I believe is very common. Lower the stairs. Have to do the high jump to get to the bedroom.
Not entirely sure what we are waiting for in this, but it's certainly a longer pause than usual. Typically, if it's just a audio thing or a player just needs to restart the game or reconnect to the lobby, it can be done relatively quickly, but things are
looks as though
taking
everyone's
their
waiting,
toll
doesn't it?
right now.
Yeah.
We do apologize for it. I'm sure that everybody is working as quickly as possible to get it all resolved, but for the meanwhile, we are just left flapping our gums talking about who's got the coolest camera, who's got the scariest camera.
Let us know, everyone. Write into us. Send a
Phone
letter.
in.
No one does letters these days. Handwrite a letter, everyone.
I actually received a handwritten letter the other day.
Really?
Yeah, it was very weird. And instead of like typing a letter out and printing it and then sending it back, I actually hand wrote one back as well. And I wrote it out like 3 times because my handwriting was really scruffy.
That school education has paid off. Well done.
It has. All those years at school, I knew where to put the address, my address, you know, on the different sides, all that sort of
very
stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
Make sure you did your capital letters as well.
Absolutely, full stops, capital letters. You know, exactly. There's no spell check. There's no. I was there with my phone.
How did you finish the letter?
Oh, that was always a big one, wasn't it?
I'm a best regards kind of fella. Or if I'm angry, regards. It depends to you, doesn't it? Best regards, it's I'm chill. If you receive a regards, that's he don't like you.
It's over, is it?
Yeah.
I think there's a difference between yours sincerely and yours faithfully, isn't there?
Ah.
I think faithfully is like is faithfully the friendly version, and then sincerely is the non-friendly. Not non-friendly, but like more formal version. Who knows?
The
Anyway.
PSs as well. PS at the end.
Oh, a little PS.
Yeah.
A little PS. PS. Please do not write me a handwritten letter again. My hand hurts.
PS. Do not contact me ever again.
PS. My email address is.
Ugh.
I'm gonna see if I
Taking
can
a while,
get in.
A long rehost.
Yeah. Well, we saw that there was some players. Someone had the scoreboard open, and I could see that there was all the G2 players in the lobby, and there was 2 players from Ence in the lobby.
Oh, Doki looks. Get into bed, son. You may as well recharge. Just wants to get this game underway. I think we all do.
Well, it's frustrating, isn't it? Breaks in the action are never good. You know, the tactical timeout, it's a very short amount of time, and the coach steps in to relay some key information or allow one of the players on the team to speak, and it's less of a discussion and more of just these are some very key points that we need to try and apply into the game over the next however many rounds. Technical pause, when you can't talk to your teammates, you've just got to sit there in silence. You know, you can really easily drift away or get out of the zone, and it's not like you can leave and just keep warming up in terrorist hunt. You're going a little bit cold in this time as well, so as we don't like watching it, players hate being in them as well.
Especially whenever I feel as though that game is only really starting to warm up a little bit, wasn't it? 2-2. You think, okay, game on, here we go. And now it's just slowed it right down. So it's just one of those. Look, technical pauses happen. Thankfully, they don't happen as often as what maybe we've had years gone by, Ollie. It's been a while since myself and you have dealt with a technical pause of this length. So it doesn't happen a lot, but whenever it does, it's not the most pleasant of times. But we're working on it.
It's frustrating as well because there's not loads that has really happened. We've seen 4 rounds. We've got a scoreline of 2-2. We've had 2 opening picks for G2. We've had 2 opening picks for Ence. Round number 1 was very convincing for G2. And then round number 2, equally convincing. So there's been convincing wins for G2, and you know, it could have snowballed a little bit, I think, if Ence hadn't taken that time out. They've used that now. They used it at the end of round number 2, and it worked well for them. It was good to generate 2 rounds on sites that they had already lost as well. So they've got that going for them, but you kind of worry for Ence, and you almost feel a little bit bad for them because that momentum that they just gained, it's kind of like they're starting from scratch again now.
Are we in? I'm seeing like monitors change color. That usually bodes well. I don't know. Oh,
The location of a
Yay!
We're back!
in the
We are
game. Maybe we've gone up a few percent on the we're back meter.
oh, we'll have to ask Fresh. Are we back?
Fresh put us at a 40%. I thought it was quite measured. I also thought it was quite low.
I think that's, yeah, I would say probably higher than that.
He must be expecting steady growth.
Maybe.
10 seconds to insertion.
I think we've got good teams. Not just
5
BDS,
seconds
I
to
think
insertion.
other teams there.
Attackers are moving to defuse a bomb.
Right, where were we?
Well,
oh yeah, round 5. Here we go.
Now this is something that I love to see. Little cheeky spawn peek after a rehost. You're gonna catch people, you know, they're not in the zone necessarily. No one spawned over there, but
No one
the
spawned
thought
there.
was there, Lems. I like it.
Well, we're dealing with a new site, of course, Ollie. Haven't seen this one as of yet. It's gonna be our kitchen site, of course. Wall being opened up. Flashbang as well going in as maybe a fast push from Uno could have been the option for him. This rat position from Raikos prone behind that table. Means that he's gonna actually be immune to the flashbangs. You just peek back and forth. All comes in.
Barrier formed.
No mute jammer on board, of course, on the side of Ence. That will cause them issues. They can't really deny those calls from coming in. Now he has to try and rotate back, and Alamau picks up another one. Alemzo trades back and forth, and a minute gone, Ollie. And there's been 2 deaths on each side. Make that 3 on the side of G2.
Raikos causing a bit of a nuisance there, and he's still got position in drum. Does have a couple of keeper barriers to play around as well. He's got one behind him. It's taking a few points of damage, but he swings over onto Uno and probably regrets that one. He was safe where he was, and he could have continued to waste time and drones. Instead, gives himself up. 2-2, still half the round to go here. A lot of action has happened in the first 90 seconds. G2 now, they're not left clutching at straws, but they don't necessarily have as much info as they would like. Uno has a yellow ping to work with, but we can see that the player has since rotated off. Lems has got himself over onto the stairs, but Loira, he's going to single out Naku and win his one, and very important engagement at this point in the plant. That's going to start to go down. Lems has to try and do something about this. Plant stopped for the time being. Uno doing his best to try and bait this out right now as Loira is just looking to reposition and get himself into a better spot to try and cover. And he can do just exactly that.
Really good reposition from Loira. Knows that Uno's in a great position to plant where it's kind of safe, where Alem has to leave cover and wide swing onto Uno. And then Loira has that great bit of cover behind the reinforced wall, just peeks onto the head holes. Really good position to be in. I like that from G2. They're taking their time. I think that's probably a credit to the way Uno has probably spoken to Loira in that element, seeing, okay, we have plenty of time. Just come to me. I can plant, you can cover. That's a teamwork that I think for a long time G2 are struggling with. Like, you go back last stage, even at Invitational. These were all areas that we sat there and questioned G2 about.
Bomb located by attackers.
3-2, chance for G2 to finish this this attacking half, excuse me, at an advantage right now, but it does feel like more than likely it is going to be a 3-3, especially with how close it has been up until this point. G2, by all accounts, have given themselves the best chance of winning the map overall, though. What's the
Attackers
saying,
are
Demo?
heading out to
Couple of
defuse the
rounds,
bomb.
2 rounds is good for a win on Skyscraper if you get those rounds on the attack. You don't always need so many, and especially with the way that we've seen Ence attacking last week. Certainly not one of the stronger teams on that attacking side. They have a 25% attacker win rate going into today, a 17% plant rate, and a 37% on the entry. So they're not looking like the strongest team out there in the league right now. And for G2, despite the changes they've made, it should be a game that they're coming away with 3 points out of.
That's a very long saying, Ollie. I've never heard that one before. That's a very long-winded saying. Surprised you remember it.
It's quite specific, isn't it?
It is very specific. But no, like you said, I think the more rounds that G2 can get here on the attack, it just bodes well for them. On the defense, we know that, and they have an opportunity to go 4-2 up here. Candela's being sent in towards Terrace. Trades again come in, but it's G2. They're going to be on top of things. Alamau with 2 kills on the Ossa. Gets himself in now, can perhaps go for a plan. Only 1 C4 on board, and the Warden isn't in a great position to really go for it. Alamau, my goodness me, what a shot on the NAQ. This is where the pistol ain't going to be very effective up against some of these high rate of fire machine guns that you're facing down, and it's going to be a post plant that just seems so unwinnable right now, friends, as long as G2 can hold their crossfire, support one another. Alamau in the perfect position just to sit back, relax, but he's going to go aggro. He wants more kills. He's probably thinking, it could be an ace in the board here for him if I play my cards right. But no, it's denied for Alamau. Skies with a pistol after being supported by Azox. That window player is actually going to get stabbed somehow, and it outs into a 1v2, but still too many players to find. G2, a 4-2 half. Haven't missed a beat since that very long pause, Ollie.
No, they came out the gate swinging, didn't they? Alamau had a really big round individually. Did die in front of his Ossa shield, though. Could have stayed alive. It could have been a little bit more convincing, but a round is a round, and who really cares how they get it? There was a very brief moment in time, though, when NAQ got a couple of kills, and you just start wondering, ooh, if G2 just pushed this one a little bit too far. Sometimes the best thing to do in those situations is almost just to stay still and do nothing. I remember an interview we did with Cameraman a long time ago, Demo. He said, sometimes I tell the boys to take their hands off the keyboard because then they can't move, because we don't need them to move. We just need them to stay still and be ready to shoot. Sometimes you get the feeling that that would be a good thing to do, but G2 get the round done nonetheless. 4-2 on the attack here on Skyscraper, and it should be plain sailing from this point onwards. 3 rounds is all they need, Demo.
Looking good for them. Ence, this is where we need to see an improvement from them. So they've had a week to really look at how they've been attacking, and they need to change it. Ence were very reminiscent of the very old Vitality roster, where they were the slowest thing. They were slower than a tortoise in cement. That's how slow they were. They really need to pick up the pace if they want to do well in this meta. This is a meta where it's fast and furious. Look at the way G2 have been playing. That's what we want to see. Ence
How many
need to do
tortoises
better.
have you ever seen in cement?
Ence.
I mean, poor tortoise, right? Like, what's the cement? Is it going off? Is it like quite wet? Like, what are we talking?
Yeah, wet cement, yeah. And that was on quicksand as well.
Oh goodness.
So you can
Was there some
imagine.
glue involved, maybe?
No, no glue. I think that would be overkill. They're not that slow. Come on. They're slow, but not that slow. Super glue. My word.
Ooh, I like this knock play. Lem's gonna get himself in and up those house stairs, but Alamau already taken Azox down. Lems thinks better of it and is gonna go for a slightly different approach right now. Bill could be removed. That is the calling power, the global utility that they bring. Oh, great shot from Skies. He was really ready for that one. Loira getting caught out on the peak, but Alamau devastating Ence right now with that boss G. We saw a Lems on the nook. He went up house stairs, and as soon as that opening pick came in, he rotated down to try and chase down Alamau. And he's met the same fate.
Alamau can just relax now with that boss G in hand.
Bomb located by
Sit back
attackers.
and hold the angles. I mean, this Ying is inside the site. Doki eliminates Skies. In comes the Ying, hunting for this player inside of gold. Will eliminate Blaz, and the second Alamau gets caught. Lacking. Now it's a 2v2, and Uno's HP isn't favorable for him. So really you're looking towards Doki to be the man of the minute. But don't forget, Naku has to try and get a plant down. Doesn't really know where he wants to go. Maybe they're going to play for kills here. Rykos was thinking about pushing down the corridor. Now we see the plant come in from Naku. The C4 was deployed in the default
Attackers
position.
activating diffuser.
It's a wise move from Ence to rotate and maneuver away from where they would have been expected to plant, but a crossfire through the wall is going to be enough to eliminate Naku. Now Rykos in the 1 versus 2. Doki into the karaoke. Uno get himself into position where he can rotate towards T, but Doki! I said he was the player that you need to see step up, because Uno just didn't have enough HP to take these engagements. A great 2v2 played by the G2 boys. I mean, right now for G2, they're looking great.
What a round there. Great clutch. You look at it, and on the face of it, Alamau opened it up with those first couple of kills. Then when it goes down into the 2v2, Naku is one of the most dangerous players for picking up back-to-back kills. He did it in stage 1. He's doing it here today. There was rounds on the defense, and there were rounds that Ence weren't successful in, but he was picking up 3Ks. He's grabbed himself another double there, but it's just not enough. He's so explosive when he gets going, though, and you always feel like he's just on the edge of really making a difference in the round.
Attackers need to protect
That's the
diffuser.
second multi-kill he's got, and the second time that Ence have still went on to lose that round. The clutch factor isn't there. It isn't deep enough, and there's a danger right now that G2 are going to run away with this one.
10 seconds left.
Yeah, they're looking poised and ready. I mean, we'll say Ence a lot quicker than what we previously from them last week, so that's, I suppose, a better sign from them.
Attackers are moving
Just
out
need to
locate a
see them
bomb and
convert
defuse it.
those wins a little bit better, but right now the gun skill, I think, is shining through. I think, obviously, Alamau's having a great game so far, and oh dear. A C4 spawn kill onto the Grim. A heavy-hitting operator out of the picture within the first 5 seconds. Goes from bad to worse right now for Ence. They have to fight back on this site where Grim is impeccable on. We know that.
Bomb located by attackers.
It's going to be difficult. This is going to be a real measure of just how good, or I suppose how bad, Ence are.
A little bit of Ver going to get opened up here. Enable that thermite charge to go off without a hitch. Some good team play from Ence. This is a very important round with a scoreline of 5-2. The last thing you want is G2 sniffing that map point. For Ence, it's important that they're going to walk away. Well, they try and walk away with full points out of their fixtures because of the start that they had last week. Points are going to be extremely valuable to them right now. Also, on the flip side for G2, if you look at it and look at it over a longer timeline and you start thinking, well, if Ence are going to be one of the weaker teams this stage, we need to beat them very convincingly because things like round difference, things like tiebreakers, all that sort of stuff comes into it. You want to try and get your opponents put away as quickly as possible.
Yeah. Especially whenever G2, they still have a lot more games to go. I mean, obviously so do Ence, but just looking at G2's schedule, next play day up against VP, you know, old nemesis many a moons ago. Up against each other, and certainly they want to try and lay down the mark and just show VP just how good G2 can be. And it's looking good for them. A minute left. Ence have only just opened up the wall, but looks as though they're going to start clogging up towards that main breach, Ollie, and that's never going to be helpful to anyone if they have no other way of clearing things out. In comes the Warden, a C4 dispatched as well. Eliminates Alams. The Ying is off the table. Those that would have made a difference. I mean, the Warden was there ready anyway. Lawyer with one on the Naku, and this is just crumbling at the seams now for Ence. G2 just need 2 more players to fall. It's one of those kind of rookie mistakes where everyone just clogs up together, and there's no other point that you're actually trying to exploit. You know, you're not pushing in from Dragon, you're not pushing in from Terrace. Everything's coming from the one direction. And G2 could just step back and just look one way. They're not pressured whatsoever.
There's not even been anybody on exhibition window. Flashbangs continue to be thrown at a Warden. Alamar eventually is taken out by exhibition window as Rykos finds 2. Look at what happens when you can change that line of attack. It was always going to be too little, too late, though. Bit of a 1-2 punch there from Alamau and Loira. Loira picks up 2 kills in that round as well. And Alamau had a great time on the Warden, really showcasing the operator and all that they are capable of. Glasses coming on at the right time, the smoke, the ying, the flashes, none of it really mattering. C4 being found as well through the breach. G2, map point.
Oh, they look good, but still don't let it kind of distract you the way that Ence have been pushing. Very one-dimensional, like you mentioned. It's traffic just going one way, and this is how traffic jams happen, guys. Don't manage the way you want the flow of traffic. It's, yeah, you're going to be in gridlock. So Ence, 4 rounds they have to pull out of thin air and pull them out in a row to get this OT, but just right now, the way G2 have been looking, I don't see it happening. It's not a case of if G2 win, it's just when they'll win for me.
10 seconds remaining.
That's it, isn't it? They only need 1 round right now. They only need to get lucky once. It really is just one of those situations with the way that they've been playing so far tonight. You look at it and you think, yeah, this one is pretty much said and done. Hence, they took the timeout very early. They took the timeout at the end of round number 2. They were able to get the 2 rounds after that. And we entered that short, well, not a short, but that fairly lengthy technical pause, and it just seems to suck any life or momentum out of the fixture.
Just Ence just look very timid, don't they? Just who's going to be able to step up? I mean, Alams. You look at the lineup, you wouldn't say that, yeah, Alams is going to be the entry player, but here he is on the nuke and just immediately sent back out again. Blaz swinging, gets his kill. Still a Legion they have to deal with, but very wise maneuver there from Loira. They know that they've got their pick. They can just fall back. Blaz, another one for him. 2 kills in the round, and I mean, Ence, where do you look? What do you do? Like, what can you do? G2 just on form right now, and this is the G2 that we really wanted to see. Well, maybe I just wanted to see them back playing well again, but I think for an organization that, look, at one point, we put all our eggs in one basket, and that basket was G2 to do well for EU. Obviously, now we have another egg. A few eggs. I'm selling a few eggs. We have a few eggs, but turn out for G2, it's just looking very good for them. Thank you. Who's really been, for me, the only shining light right now for Ence.
Absolutely.
Oh, maybe
He's
not.
one of the players
not
that
anymore.
well, not anymore, but you can consistently rely on him to get a couple of kills. But it wasn't going to be enough inside of this fixture. Blaz and Loira to finish things off. G2, what a performance on Skyscraper. Getting the job done in a very concise manner there. A scoreline of 6-2.
7-2.
Brilliant display on their attacks, and well, Ence, they've not done anything to better that attacking win rate here tonight. It has got a little bit worse.
Yeah, I think Ence, you really hope that they were going to turn things around from where they were last week, but it just feels more or less the same. And this is now a big worry for Ence because that's their 3rd loss. They don't have a lot of games left. There isn't a lot of games left. They still have an off day as well, so they don't even play for one of those days. Time is running very short for Ence, and this is where I think they have to be worried and thinking, we just need to try and improve our performance. I think the top 4 kind of shenanigans has to be gone for now. They have to look towards the LCQs. That's the only way that you can see them making the major at this stage. I just think they're way too off the beaten track. They need to put in a lot of practice to reinvent themselves, because right now I'm confused with what they're trying to go for.
And it's crazy to say there's not loads of games left, but at the end of today, we're going to be a 1/3 of the way through the whole stage. So every game really does matter. Ence definitely underperformed tonight, but G2, on the contrary, did very well. Let's see what our desk has to say.
Thank you very much, Exer, Troika, Ollie, and Demo. What a game it was, and quite a bit slower than we had in match number 2 of today, Alfama.
Yeah, steady siege. Much more, slower than expected, actually. Even from G2's side, one of the things I mentioned was how they were thriving on opportunity seeking and on being aggressive in the previous playdays. Here, they had a very different win condition. Most of the rounds, they actually had a pretty decent understanding of, okay, I'm going to take this zone, I'm going to get this easy access or pathway to the bomb site. What I find most interesting here is this one was a fail, in my opinion. What was interesting in this one is they clear from vertical, they use the bug, they use the Deimos. That's a very different take on the ones previously, where they went for one floor and full room clear. They were always looking for different ways to do things, and they were quite creative in the strategies. And you could say that it would work most of the time. Their attacking speed was very impressive, especially that Osa execute here, with Alemao here, finding an opportunity by direct take onto Geisha. So many different ways to attack the bomb sites, and they were always controlling the pace and the direction they were heading to. Very different from Ence.
I think I owe G2 a little bit of an apology because I said the teams that they're better than, they can just rely on individual skill and they don't need to worry too much about strategy. But I thought G2 got their strategy, particularly on attack, on lock today. Like you said, we saw them having these slow, much more methodical attacks around about taking ground and then executing. And then we saw a couple of kind of direct Osa Ying, clutch operator attacks as well, cheesy attacks, as people like to call them. And I thought that set the basis for what then ultimately was a very, very straightforward game to win. 4-2 attack half on Skyscraper. I'm not going to say it's unheard of, but it's impressive. And then going on to just defend the free defense from there was always going to be pretty straightforward, especially as Ence for a team that are really struggling on their attacks.
If you gentlemen would allow me to put my analyst and person who knows a bit about Rainbow Six hat on for just a second there. That attacking half from G2, I have to say there's a lot obviously on Alemao, not just calling but playing, but I have to give it to Doki and his flexibility on operator picks. He'll pick whatever is needed for the moment, but the Deimos obviously has stuck throughout 2024, and when he finds those picks, and he does often, it just opens up the entire map.
And even when it doesn't, that's quite interesting because actually, yes, it's a 7-2, but you look at the opening engagements, they're kind of 50-50 in this matchup. It's the way G2 is able to convert rounds even when they lose the man advantage, just because they play better and they have a better understanding of what they're reaching for, and they do it all together with trades, with utility, and that's the biggest difference maker between Ence and them. Ence had a very predictable game plan again in attack. Every time, they knew where they were coming from. And I think that's the thing that I'm liking to see G2 playing is Alemao's ability to find, again, creative ways to the bomb site. Never the same way, never the same path, and never expected.
We're starting to turn you, aren't we? We're starting to turn you into a little bit of a G2 fan.
Yeah, so the thing is, in the first two playdays, I wasn't seeing that.
That's true.
They had a clarified game plan. Don't get me wrong; it worked very well against Fnatic, but it's just it had limits against BDS. In a scenario with Ence where they played super passive, in my opinion, too passive. They didn't control the pace. They give plenty of opportunities for G2 to try different things. Or we can go slow; we won't be missing time. Or we can go direct because they won't be aggressive. That's just giving too much respect.
Alpha, I would like you to go slow a bit here as we set up for our interview because we're going to head to it. So it's great performance from G2. Can we see this continue on in the future?
100% if they can continue going that way, especially Alemao. If they can continue finding these ways to the bomb site. That Osa execution, once again, that's a triple kill from him. Even in defense here, look at this plays. These two kills are the most important here. Obviously, they were in a 5v3 already, but it's the kind of difference maker moments that we need from an in-game leader, not only in the strategies and the tactic that he's calling, but also in defense by being the anchor and being able to deny and execute single-handedly. I want to also praise Laura because he had a crazy game, but here for me, Alemao is the real winner and the difference maker with his calls.
Thank you, Alfama, for that. And of course, as you saw, we do have a victor. G2 Esports victorious. And joining us is Doki on the interview. Doki,
yes, it is.
What does it feel like to be one of the best Deimos players in the world?
I'm sorry, I wish I could have that title, but Shaiko whipped my ass last week. Credit where credit's due, I guess, right?
So, Doki, Ence today, I suppose just off the bat, what did you make of that? Because that, I'll be honest, for me, that seemed like a very easy day at the office for you guys.
I don't know, man. Like, why are they playing Sky? It's the same with Fnatic. Why are they playing Consulate? It's their permabans. I said to Romario before the game, we are going to play Skyscraper today. And he went, no, you're crazy. You're crazy, Doki-san. You're crazy. And we played Sky. I have no idea. Maybe you have an idea, but I thought it was their ban.
I have no idea. Why did you think he was going to play Sky?
Because I love Sky.
Ah, okay.
I just wanted to play it. Didn't think I was going to play it, of course not. But yeah, like, I mean, you know, like they're obviously struggling. Like we practice them a lot, Ence, and they're actually like they are very good. Like I think they're very good, and they just don't show that same skill they have in practice in the official games. Like I think understanding of Skyscraper maybe isn't so good. It's like one of our best maps, so yeah, I don't know, just comfortable. And like last week with BDS, right? I guess that was our big test. I'm not trying to say like, oh, we're so good, but like we just got rinsed by Shaiko and Usus. Like strategy wise, the game was good. Like from both teams, like was just a hard game. Like I think we took it. We realized that. We said, guys, Blaz Loira, like you had a rough game. They didn't. They had a very good game. So just go next, and we'll beat everyone else. No problem.
I was just going to come on to this actually, Doki, because I was going to say, where do you think your level is as a team? Because arguably you've now played the best team in the league at the minute in BDS. I don't think that's unfair to say. But then also the two teams that are struggling the most in Fnatic and Ence as well. Yeah. Where do you think you stack up against, I suppose, that pack in the middle that are really pushing for the majors?
Yeah, I mean, I think our main rivals right now are like Wolves and like maybe ITB. Or VP even, but I think all those games are like still a league below BDS. So yeah, like you know, we're doing good. Anything can happen on game day, right? Like happened last week against BDS. but yeah, like we're just going game by game. Even if we won last week, I don't think it matters. Like we have 6 games still to play, right? So yeah, we gotta just keep winning the games.
Speaking of games, next week, of course, is our Super Week. You got more games to kind of deal with and prepare for. You got Virtus.pro also up on the chopping block. You mentioned them a second ago there. So how do you feel that week kind of going your way, and VP especially?
Yeah, I mean, hope the first game goes well, or that might be a bad week. Nah, we just like to play, so I think everyone's happy with like more games. So I guess going to put a little bit of pressure on us in terms of like practicing for different teams, because we'll practice for all 3 teams this week. But you know, like we are a veteran team at like majors and stuff. We do this for a living. We're used to it. So yeah, not a problem.
That's the exact same answer that we got a bit ago also. You know, teams that get to make it to majors and play the exhausting schedule that is majors. Yeah. You know, they're kind of used to it. So this is a walk in the park in comparison. But Doki, thank you very much. And for the walk in the park game here in Skyscraper, 7-2 victorious against your opponents for today. So we're gonna wrap this up here. It's always a pleasure to have you in here with us, and good luck on next week's competition.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day. See you later.
Oh boy, we still have one more game though. Fresh, are you ready for it?
I am ready. I sense an upset. Milos.
That's definitely not what you said at the start of the day, especially for this one. But stick around when we get back. It's Fnatic versus Wolves.